we got put in handcuffs. This is when they arrested my friend the first time. We got put in handcuffs, but since I wasn't the guy, they were like, oh, and Dana saved me. Because if Dana wasn't there, they probably would have took me too.
All right, you guys, welcome back to another episode of the Between the Walls podcast. We are your hosts. My name is Jess.
And I'm Jonathan, and we are the Wallaces.
Yes, and today we have a treat for you guys. We have some very special guests that you guys have been asking to get them on the podcast. So they are here. They have been married for almost 10 years. They have 3 kids. They love Jesus. They love each other. They built an empire on social media. Please help me welcome the home of the Harveys, my brother Matthew, and my sister-in-law Dana Harvey.
Let's go. We're in the building. Let's go. We finally made it to the pod, man. Thanks for having us. We're here.
Yeah.
I'm excited, man.
We did a live with them one time. I don't know if you guys caught it, but we did a live and they were going in and they were just feeding us. I felt fed after that.
I mean, like, that's all Dana. Dana's the feeder. You know what I'm saying? Like she brings the spoon and I just take a bite. And I needed to correct you. You said you're giving him a treat. My girl is a whole meal, okay? That's not just a treat. You know what I'm talking about?
You got your pastor back already.
Yeah.
My smoking hot wife
in the front seat.
She's here, man.
you know, like they do the wife hype up for like the 5 minute. It's like, and she carries grace throughout the home. And
I'm about to make baby number 4 after this sermon.
I'm like,
I
I'll be like this in the audience. Yeah, you got to put the hand up, yeah, because it's all true, man. We wouldn't be where we are today if it wasn't for her. Because
that's good.
Ooh, y'all, if y'all know, y'all probably gonna find out on this pod. It's been a journey. It's been a journey. But
we are gonna get in.
Yeah, I got on the straight and narrow with her.
Yeah, well, I thank you guys for. Well, technically they're having us because we're at their house, but they're on our podcast. So thank you for coming on to our podcast, and we really just want to know more about you guys, how it all started. Dana, how the heck did you end up with my brother? Because I remember when I first met Dana, I'm like, how did he bag this one? Because this is a good one.
Time out. What do you mean how?
Man,
what are you really trying to say right now?
Y'all are gonna see. I remember, I don't know what function it was, but Dana had this black dress with these black shoes, and I'm like, she is a stunner, bro. I'm like, I don't get it.
She's the number one stunner.
Oh my gosh. I also, one of my other fondest memories that I've had of Dana, like when I first met her, was the way that she said the word button.
Oh my
and
God.
I was like,
you gonna hear them tease.
I was like, where is she from?
You gonna hear them, but
she said, just press the button. I'm like, what? Not the button. But it's so cute. So yeah, do you want to say anything?
No, I'm really I'm really excited to hearing about your guys' story as well. You know, I got to come in towards like the second half of it, you know, so I know you guys from that, but not the beginning, and how you guys found Jesus and kind of found Jesus together, from what I'm assuming, and what that all looks like. You know, I'm really excited to learn more about it.
Yeah, so let's get on into it. Let's tell the people your story, how you guys met, and then you can go wherever you want after that. So, I mean, I don't know if you guys have the same version. If Dana wants to tell her side, whatever y'all want to do, just let us into your story.
I mean, after 9 years, I think that our stories have become one now.
It took a while because I was delusional. So
A little bit.
Delulu, the Salulu.
Yeah, that's so funny because Jess is one of the very few people I think that knows our entire testimony, our whole story from like day one. So interesting to think about because
I don't know it.
Didn't realize.
Well, I mean, where do we start, right? I hope y'all got time. I hope we don't have a limitation on this podcast.
I'll cut y'all.
No cut off.
If y'all really want to know what's going on,
Let's
it started back in 1989.
We're gonna be here forever.
Born of a preacher himself, John Harvey.
The son of a preacher, man.
Yeah, so I'm a preacher's kid. I'm the middle child, and everything you guys heard about preacher's kids is absolutely true. And everything you hear about middle children is absolutely
also
true as well. So I'm both of that combined, which kind of tells you a lot about my upbringing. So, I mean, just growing up, I feel like we were sheltered and a little sheltered.
Yeah, we found our own way outside.
That was the problem. I think I was just trying to explore a little bit too much, which got me into a lot of trouble, which got me wanting to do things my way. And I guess just to save a lot of that, just know that I was really reckless growing up, and I needed some correcting. And let's just fast forward a little bit to when I got to University of Idaho, and that's a big fast forward. We can get into that a little bit deeper if you guys would like, but that's when I met this beautiful young lady to my right.
Yes.
And What I used to believe is that it was love at first sight. But why are you laughing like
giggle?
No,
that?
that laugh was funny.
That was crazy.
That's good.
So as you can tell from that laugh, that is not how the story went. But when did I first see? When did you first see me? I know when I first saw you, but when did you actually first notice me? Because I don't think it was when I saw you.
No, it was
It
definitely
was not. Okay.
So I saw you when I think you popped up at my apartment.
Oh,
was super
that's scary.
That's wild. I'm sorry. That sounds really crazy.
That's the first time I actually saw you, but you saw me quite a few times.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to say that I was very persistent. Okay,
Yeah.
so I saw her. So we went to the University of Idaho, as I said. She played tennis and I played football.
But we work out in the same dome, like this big dome for all the athletes. So the workout area is all windows. So you see all the teams walking by, and you see all these like, gross guys, basketball players, football
Why we
players,
gotta be
just
gross? Why
like
you gotta-
watching
You
you.
popped up at her house. You were gross.
So when we're working out, all female team, we're focused. We're not looking out and getting distracted. And this man, he was staring at me outside the window. So
No,
Staring.
that sounds crazy. It's not like I was just like
You guys
two
know-
hands on the glass, like I need that. Like, can I have it?
our story does make you look super creepy.
It does.
But
It does. Every time you tell it, I'm like, yeah, I was a creepy dude, man.
You
Like,
had no riz.
that was missing.
But you were also like super popular, super charismatic. Like everyone wanted to be with you and hang out with you, and I just wanted no parts of that. And so I denied pretty much everyone in college. But my really good friend was on the football team, and he found out that we had a connection. So he basically, I don't know how you got my number out of him, but you like beat him down. What's her name? Give me her number.
It actually started with Facebook stalking. That's where it started. I was like, I just need her name and I'll figure out the rest.
From there. Mhm.
Everybody knows how to use Facebook, especially back then. Facebook was the place. So I was
Yeah.
like, all right, bum, did my research, and I was like, there she is.
Ew.
That
This is
one
why
was
I
crazy.
didn't get it. I'm like, what do you want with this man? Ew.
But we DM back and forth for a little minute, and then I think that's when I just popped up to your house
No,
because I
because
was
you
like,
asked for
yo,
my number, I didn't give it to you.
that's right. And I was like,
Queen.
don't worry,
Then-
I'm gonna get it one way or
I
another.
like
Popped up at I don't understand that.
So my friend, a guy who was on the football team with me, was her roommate.
Okay.
Okay, she had it was him, like another girl that was her roommate, and I knew that because when I brought it up to him, I was like, "Yo, who's that?" And he's like, "Yo, that's my roommate. You gotta chill." I'm like, "There's no chill over here. I'm gonna let you know from now. There is no chill over here. I need to know what's going on with that. So what we gonna do?" And it got to the point I was just like, "Bro, I'm pulling up. I'm pulling up, bro. Where you at? I'm on the way." And I obviously, I came to hang out with my boy,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Oh,
What are you
it's
doing here?
you. What are the chances?"
Wait, so Dana, you had a boy roommate?
Yeah, so I didn't have a lot of friends in college. I had like my one best friend, and then we always had to live with an athlete.
Okay.
And so we revolved like basketball players, and then they would
That sounds
graduate
crazy.
or move or what. Women basketball players.
Oh, okay.
He was the only one that I trusted because my brother lived with him before in the dorms, and we became good friends because he was in the finance department. Like that's what he was majoring in.
He was a walk-on, so like he actually went there for school.
Yeah.
Like he
Oh,
cared about
okay,
school.
yeah. He's a good
All right,
guy.
cool.
He's a
Yeah.
good guy.
So he was a little different. He was focused on his studies. So it was like, come live with us because we need another roommate to fill this room. And so that's how he came apart. But so he's a big part of our story because he connected us, despite me trying to tell him no. But yeah, so where were we? I feel like he showed up, and that's when like he got my number because he showed up at my apartment, and I was.
Well, if you know my address, you can might as well have my
I know,
number.
might as well, right?
If you don't answer my call or text him, I'm gonna still pull up.
pulling up.
You're gonna find me. So it was
Yeah.
a lot of me putting in work because I think it was a couple months before she actually like broke in a little bit and was like, started giving me a little bit of play, if
was
you will.
8 months.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we looked.
That
We tracked it back
Um,
to like his first DM on Facebook, and then to like when we first we went on our like first date.
So fellas,
So-
listen, never give up. Okay, never
true.
give up.
Yeah.
You got to put in that work. You know what I'm saying? Because when you put in that work, you see what the end result is. You know what I'm talking about?
Ew.
Yeah.
Unless she's like, no, get away, then no put in that work.
Oh, hey,
'cause
but listen,
I
I didn't.
remember-
No get away didn't stop me. Jessica told you no get away.
I was about to say everyone with a hat on here had to
Yeah.
persist.
Persistence is key. Is the message of this pod.
So within those 8 months, what made you be like, I actually want to give this guy a chance?
So, you guys probably don't know about this, but there's this like little website that I used to play on. It's called Stumble Upon. It's almost like an olden day TikTok, Pinterest, Google all in one. And I stumbled upon this quote, and it said, "Date someone you would never typically date."
Wow, so I need to thank Stumble Upon for
Thanks.
this.
Shout out to Stumble
Shout
Upon
out
for
to Stumble
sponsoring
Upon.
this marriage.
Is Stumble Upon still running? Can we look into that?
Stumble
Yeah,
Upon. That's
maybe we
kinda
should get the
cute.
Stumble Upon sponsor.
I need to donate money to them.
No, yeah, that's kind of cute.
I don't even know if they.
Thank you,
Upon.
Stumble Upon. Bet.
I don't know if they even are still alive, but so I saw that quote and we were texting like kind of regularly, just like as friends. I remember him texting me like "Good morning, beautiful" like every day, and I would just like "Good morning" or like
Put in
morning.
work.
Hi.
You know? And so I just didn't really want to be in a relationship, especially one with like a football player. But I remember this one text message he sent me where I was like actually rolling on the floor laughing, and I was like, this would be really fun. So it was like his personality that shined through after he had to like slow down all the charm because it wasn't working. So he started to be like
Normal.
normal himself.
Let's try something different.
Tone down the riz. And then I was like, oh, this guy's pretty fun. And so we started dating. I mean, whatever you consider dating in college, you know, we'd hang out and watch movies together,
Yeah.
hang out in the library.
Netflix
Oh,
and
man.
no chilling though.
There
It was
was
just
no-
just Netflix.
Netflix and
Just like-
study in the library.
Yeah, Netflix and
Very
studying,
sexy.
hard studying. Okay.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
I used to have to find her in the library sometimes. Like,
Very good.
I'm like, yo, where you at? She's like, I'm in the library. I'm like, we have a library? Like,
Well,
where
football
is that?
player.
Where is that?
I don't know if I'm allowed to ask this. Was there really no chilling, or it was just?
There was no
Netflix?
chilling for a long time.
Okay.
There was no
Okay.
chilling for a long time. I remember there was a party that we went to, and we were doing college things, drinking, having a good time. And I remember I'm like, this might be my moment to shoot my shot.
We chilling tonight.
This
So-
is in the months of like the 8 months of not
Oh, okay.
actually.
Yeah, so I'm like, all right. So I went in and I was like, I think I'm gonna try to give her a kiss.
Oof. All right.
So I was like, all right, I think this is the time. And I went in and I gave her a kiss. And it was like an awkward moment after where she kind of like looked at me and then like this like left type deal. And I was like, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. So the next day, I'm like kind of on my high horse. I'm like, oh, I'm
got
in
that
there. I was
kiss.
like, let's go. And then I'm like talking to her about it. And she's like, that happened yesterday? And I'm like,
Oh no.
I literally went home and cried that day. Like, literally.
No, you didn't.
No,
You cried.
I swear I cried.
I
I swear I
cried
cried.
after he told me that he cried because I was like,
I just told her today. I was like, I cried after that. And she's
I
like,
knew-
I never knew that.
Oh, today, literally
no,
today.
I just told her
thought it
today-
was a joke though.
No,
Like,
I was dead serious. I cried.
like literal.
Wow.
I cried. And I don't think I told anybody that. This is
Yeah,
breaking
wow.
news.
Yeah. So question: When during this 8 months, I don't want to get you in trouble, but during this 8 months, did you have any other people that you were trying to
Prospects.
talk to?
No,
Other
I
prospects?
did. And she
Yeah.
kind of knew that. She
Okay.
knew that.
I mean,
yeah, like,
Which is why it was like on pause.
Do you
for
think
so
if
long,
it, if you think
because
if
he
it
was a
wasn't,
player.
do you think if he did not have that, would he have got through quicker or no?
So this is all assumption because I'm not that close to him, so I don't really know if he's talking to other women or hooking up with anyone else. But I just assume because all football players and all basketball players were kind of like that in our small town, college town. So I just assumed. It wasn't until after we started dating I was like, oh, you really are like a player.
but no, so I didn't like the options that I had.
It's like she was the best option.
As I got to know her, I was like, oh, she is head and shoulders above whatever else is out there. So I was like weaning off of those. You know?
Okay, gotcha.
And
gotcha.
then I had a conversation with her because she's like, I don't want to do this. Like if you're talking to other girls, and I was like, listen, I only want one, I want you to be the one. Like, I just want someone to be able to, like, after hanging out with the guys, I just want to be able to come home to, like, the one, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, after she was kind of like, gave me some pushback about it, but then I knew where she lived. So after like a day of partying, I would just come to the house and I'm just like, all right.
What it do, baby?
I'm here.
Honey, I'm home.
I'm here. And that was like kind of it became our thing. Like, it just kind of,
Yeah, it was
the relationship
super
kind of,
casual.
it blossomed at that point.
I think for me, it was like, I knew that it was going to end after college. So
okay.
we were going to go opposite ways. So I was like, he's fun. I like him. He's funny. Let's just roll with it and not get too attached. But
I mean, I'm sorry, Dad, wherever he is out there. I don't know if your dad's gonna see this episode, but yeah, those definitely, sorry, I'm just saying. No, that definitely wasn't my intention. I was like, after Idaho, I'm gonna go back home. We're probably never gonna talk again. You know, I have like a kind of like a ex-girlfriend that was there, and I was like, I'm probably just gonna go back to her and make it work. And then when I went back
crazy.
home, it
The
was
planning is crazy.
No, but in college there can be a vibe like that. There's just like the two kinds of people that are like, they find their person in college and like they're just like latched on, like, and get married. They end up getting married, and like there's a type that's like,
like you guys both know, like this isn't gonna last.
just playing the game.
And it's funny, before I left to go to college, because when my mom found out I was going to Idaho, she's like, "You're gonna go to Idaho and find your wife," and I was like. I was like, Mom, stop playing. Like, ain't nothing but potatoes out there.
Come
I'm coming
on,
back to the crib.
Gretel.
Yo, my mom spoke that into existence, and it really happened. So, but yeah, after I came home, and I was like, it's like, let me see if I can just try to get back with my ex, and like, we would have interactions, and it just made me like dating even more. I was just like, dang, she's just so much better than like anything else out here right now.
I love it.
So I would still like, dangle the carrot, like just to make sure she stayed around. Just like, it was really bad. I'm sorry, babe. But I was like, I still want to make sure that I was in communication. I wanted to keep that relationship with her because I was like, I don't think this thing that I have at home is what I want long term, but I have to make sure. I just wanted to make sure. So I was like feeling it out. And then after like a couple of months, I was like, oh yeah, no, Dana's definitely the one. So
honestly, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Well, as long as you guys weren't dating, or if you weren't committed to anyone and kind of just playing out your options to see which one do I like the best, instead of like, I just want a girlfriend, so I'm gonna hold on to this and still date around. But I think you did it from what I know, I think that's a good way to do it. Like, let's see which one I like the best. Hopefully they like me back.
I'm not opposed to that at all. I think everybody should have options while you're in that dating stage.
Yeah, before it gets too serious.
Yeah, like if you're in a serious relationship, then that's a different story. But I still think that you need to like test the waters and see what you like, what you don't like, because I think people have this list in their mind that they need to tear up because they're like, I have this set list of exactly what I'm looking for, and if this person doesn't have all of it, then I'm not gonna date that person. And that's not reality.
Right.
Like, you're gonna change, and especially when you finally get to know who someone is and you get to like hang out with them and you find out what their heart is really about. Because Dana's heart is probably what got me the most. She was so gentle. She was so kind. She was so loving. She was, and she was adaptable too. Like, she had all the things. And I was like, I don't think I've ever seen anything like this before. But in my mind, I'm like, I'm not looking for a 5-foot, like, Asian to marry. I need my kids to be tall and play sports. Like, that was like my mindset.
Hey, I had the same mindset.
And I'm like,
I didn't care.
Except that I was a college athlete.
Yeah, I know, but I was like, I need my kids to have height. I'm already kind of short, so I need to like date someone
You're
taller.
short?
I'm 5'11".
Oh, I guess, I don't know. Everyone's tall to me.
That doesn't do much when it comes to sport.
What I would give.
So I just had that mindset where I was just like, that's not the type I'm looking for. But like God is like, that's who you are looking for.
That's what you need. That's not might not be what you want, but that's what you need.
That's what I need, and that is what I needed.
Yeah, I'm gonna get back to that, but. Yeah, carry on. But I'm trying to remember that you just said that, but carry on.
No, that's good. So after we went through that, I flew her out to Florida, and we hung out in my apartment that I had back in Boca.
You paid for her flight?
There was a lot of turmoil in between.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to like
After
go
college.
back. So all that time in college, you would say that the relationship wasn't really serious?
When we were in college, I thought it was
like
serious.
implied serious because everyone knew we were together. It wasn't like we weren't dating other people
Nah, people knew. Like in the locker room, the guys talk, you know, and they're like, "Oh no, that's Matt's." You know what I'm saying? Like they know that. Oh yeah, that's Harvey's. You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
So it was
guys weren't talking to her.
exclusive
Anytime she would go somewhere, people would tell me like, "Yo, Dana's over here." At like one of my
Wow,
guys are
that's
like,
crazy.
and they're like, "Yo,
Yeah, no
don't worry, she's good."
privacy.
Like they would like
Paparazzi.
they would look out for her because they knew that was my girl. So like there's definitely a community that knows like, okay, she's off the limits. Like yeah, she's the thotty one that everybody kind of date. Like and everybody knows there's like a label. So ladies, you guys make sure you know what your label is. You know,
Yeah,
like
facts.
don't be that girl. Okay,
Yeah.
don't be that girl.
That's real.
It's easy to be that girl in college, though.
I'm glad I ain't go. I don't know what list I would have been on.
That's
I know.
crazy.
Luckily, I was real focused,
I know.
and I think that helped me hold loosely on a relationship because, especially since he wasn't sure and I wasn't sure, we were going through a lot, but like it wasn't like me coming home crying, listening to like emo music and being like, oh my gosh, my life's over because we're not like together or something. So I was planning to go to law school in California and he moved back home. So it was like, you know, it's gonna
Law school.
dissipate.
You know, I had to waifu. I'm like,
I was about to
I'm like,
say-
you're going to what school? I'm like, I love
Dollar
you.
Money,
sign.
money
I
school?
love you.
You go to money school?
Bro.
I'm like, because this football thing is not looking too bright at this
Oh
moment.
my
So
gosh, that part too. He was going through a
Secure
lot
it.
with football. Like he was trying to go pro, and you know he was getting all these injuries, so he had a lot mentally going on. And I was like, I'm just gonna
the way
you know,
this
be
girl
here
used to
support.
take care of me, I'm telling you, like before every football game, she would always have like a goodie bag for me. Like,
Come on, wife.
man, the things that Dana would do is like, yo, if I would have not committed to you, I would have been the dumbest person in the world at that point. Because I was like,
agree.
she was going above
I
and
agree. Facts.
confirmation. And like anytime I got injured, she would go above and beyond, like making sure I had ice bags, like reloaded. She was massaging in like my body parts if it needed it. Like she was taking care of me. Like she you held it down when I was in college. Only probably because she thought I was gonna go pro, and I was like,
Dollar sign.
yeah.
Money
I'm,
school.
I'm like lawyer. She's like football. I'm like, we're both
One of
looking
us
at each
gonna
other
make
like, and here we are. Neither of us. Neither of us lived that out.
Oh, expectations, crazy.
Yeah, so it was definitely a lot of confirmations by God that just she opened my eyes to so many different things that I've never seen before, and she was just so intelligent, so smart. She was so focused. She opened up like just so many things. She had me in the library. Like she was like, "Oh, you
I
should."
ain't never seen that.
And I used to ask her, "Yo, this girl used to like she was in debate. She used to write papers. Like she used to do all of that." And I used to ask, she wouldn't write one paper for me in college. Not one paper.
Queen.
I'm like, girl, this is what you do here. Like, write me a paper. And she's like, no, I'm not. I'm like, so she made me put in my own work, and like, it made me stretch. It made me stretch.
Well,
I
thank you
appreciate
for
that.
marrying her because Dana did write my last paper in college.
That's
so
crazy.
I
She wrote
reaped
more
those
papers for
benefits.
you than she wrote for me.
I reaped those benefits. You helped me with a paper too one
I
time.
did,
huh?
I
Hey,
did.
these two in the middle got me through. Carry on.
Oh my
So
gosh.
I mean, was there anything that I intrigued you about? I feel like you intrigued me about so many things, but it's like, was there anything?
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of
Yeah,
things.
you're just funny.
You were really funny. You cultured me in a different way. Like in Idaho or even on the West Coast in general, there are no Jamaicans over there. So I loved.
See, hey, listen,
Yeah.
shout out to I had to put that Jamaican.
Sound effects. Shout out to Mario.
Yeah.
Finally, the thing come around.
Welcome to Jamrock. It's like the most Jamaican song.
my
It's like,
God.
So I guess my next question is, so when you guys both left college, you started talking about that, but I brought you back. But when you guys both left, how did you end up becoming more of a thing, I guess?
Yeah, so we did the long distancing for a long time. Like and it was like a weird long distance. So we were, you know, having Skype dates because it was Skype back in the day, and we would just watch each other sleep because we're on 2 different time zones and talk all the time. But there was one moment where we broke up, and that's like a whole podcast in itself. But we broke up for like a month. And I think that was the one time we didn't talk to each other. And it was like, it was really hard. And that's when I felt like, oh man, I really did like love that guy. And so, and he would try to like talk to me, and we would try to make it small talk because we weren't trying to like jump back in. And then somehow it just it just jumped back in naturally. We weren't, I feel like the entire time we were dating and courting, there was never one time where we were like, okay, are we back to being boyfriend, girlfriend? Or
Yeah, we
are
never really had a title. We never
breaking
did
up?
that.
Even when we broke up, we didn't say break up. We were just like, I think we just need to like take a pause, or, you know, just like work on ourselves or whatnot. So when we started talking again, we were just through the phone casually, and then you asked me to come out for Thanksgiving, and that's so crazy.
The
You
break
asked me-
break is what made me realize I'm like, I need to marry her.
I'm trying to tell y'all
It's
them
always
breakups,
it's
boy.
always the breakups.
The
right?
breakup
Like,
is key.
It was during that separation where it was so clear, because the life I was living, like I was partying, I was drinking, I was hanging out with the guys, hanging out with the girls, and it was just like this fast-paced life. But it just, something in my soul was just like this ain't it. Like, this ain't it. And this was around the time where one of my really close friends ended up going to jail, and I was like, it was like a huge wake-up call for me. I was like, at that moment, I was like, oh, Lord Jesus, I need you. Like, because like my whole life was like, it got turned upside down. So, and even through that season, like she was still there to support me through it. And I was like,
as a friend, yeah.
yeah. And I was like, yo, what more can I ask for? You know, even when I felt like I was at my lowest point, she was still there to like pick me up and hold my hand and like just be that support system for me. So
Yeah.
that's what made it very clear for me that I was like, yo, let me stop playing around. Yeah, let me stop.
And he determined that all on his own, because then he invited me out to Thanksgiving. I thought it was just gonna be like a fun trip to Florida to hang out with his family. We did that, and then he just casually was like, "Do you think you can like extend your trip to your birthday?" 'Cause like a couple days later. So I was like, "Okay, yeah, sure." And then this man proposes to me on my birthday. We never talked about marriage.
You never talked about
Never
marriage
talked
when he
about
proposed.
marriage
No, that's
before.
crazy.
Wow.
So my face, and there's a video too, but my face says it all. I'm just like, wait, what? And he forgot the ring. So like,
Speaking
I was
of the
even
ring,
more-
we had a huge argument because of the ring, and she didn't
What
even
about
know
it? What about
because
it?
I was actually at the ring store trying to purchase a ring, like doing all the things, and she was like calling me and like FaceTiming me
because
during
I was
this
driving.
time.
I was driving home, and it's like a 9-hour drive home from our
I
college.
think you were with. Yeah, you were with me.
I don't know.
I don't think I could have got that ring without you.
Oh,
Yes, you were.
he used my credit card to get that
'cause
ring now.
the way your boy credit was looking.
So y'all can thank me for this 9+ years.
Yeah, I'm
I had a lot to
saying?
do with it.
So like she was calling me, FaceTiming me, like blowing me up while I'm like in the ring store, like trying to like figure out like what type of ring to
that
get.
sounds
what-
crazy, but when I made
And you
those
know, you
drives,
sent me
I-
text. You're like,
I fall
never talk to
asleep.
me. Like you were so mad. I was like,
because
I'm
I'm
like, I'm
driving
getting a ring
home.
for you.
Because I'm doing this 9-hour drive home, and I've crashed twice before falling asleep at the wheel. So I was like, make sure you like answer the phone when I call you, because that means I'm really tired. And he didn't answer the phone, and I was like,
timing.
I specifically told you. Oh my gosh, I was so mad.
Wait, so when you came, oh wait, that's not when you were driving from Florida. Oh, you
No.
you flew down for that. Okay.
Yeah, so I flew down for the Thanksgiving, but it turned into a proposal, and
Yeah.
he had it all planned from like months ahead.
But you were pick up from where I forgot the ring. Sorry, I distracted you. Yes, I
Oh,
did
yeah.
forget the ring.
Yeah,
I
you
did.
proposed. I thought we were just going out for my birthday, but he looked sick. Like
Oh my gosh,
he was like pale.
I was so
and,
clammy.
Like, clammy.
My
and
hands are like
cold.
so
Oh,
cold,
man.
sweaty.
And I
I'm
was
like,
I
we
know that
should
feel.
I feel like I'm about to fall out. And she was like, we can just go home. We don't have to. And I was like, no, we have to do this. We have somewhere we need to be.
Yeah, and I thought it was so weird, like bizarre. You're like blindfolding me to go to dinner. I'm like, this is weird. Like I don't know anything here, anyways. So like, how am I gonna know? And then I opened my blindfold off, and I saw all of your family, and I was like, that's so nice. He did that for my birthday.
Oh, it's nice. All right.
That's so
It's real
cute.
nice.
And then even when I'm like, and he's playing this song, he's playing
Trying
the guitar,
to play a song.
playing this guitar and singing this song, and I walked down this
Oh,
like aisle with
love
like
me.
poem. Oh my gosh,
Loves
it was beautiful, but I
all of
still
you.
like didn't register what was happening. My brother and my mom came out from
Wow.
behind these
With
like
the umbrellas,
umbrellas,
yeah.
That's good.
behind him, and I like went around him and like hugged them. I was like, "What are you guys doing here? That's so cool!" And then Brian, my brother, was like, "Oh, go back over there."
And I'm like
sing
playing a
your
guitar,
song."
singing a song, and I'm like, I'm so nervous. So like my whole body's like shit. I practiced I learned how to play like 4 keys. I don't even know if you call them that. Chord. Thank you. The guitar player over here, the bass player. I learned how to play 4 chords on the guitar just so I could play this one song.
I remember.
Like they say, all you need is 4 chords. You can play
4 chords, you can play almost anything,
It
man.
did sound good during practice. The real thing was horrible. I'm like, oh, he's so nervous right now.
I was so nervous. I was shaking.
Yeah,
And like I was hitting any notes. I don't even know if I was striking the right chords. But I was sitting there like on the guitar, like shaking, and she's like showing her brother and mom like all the love, and I'm like, I'm about to propose. Pay attention to me, like.
Yeah, my brother's like, oh, go back. I'm like, oh yeah, sorry. Oh, good job, babe. Good. I love it. And then I still didn't know what was happening until you said, like, you made this announcement, and I was like, oh, typical Matthew, like making an announcement. And then you were like, but I forgot the ring in the car, and I'm like, ring, and I'm like,
that's crazy.
what ring? And that was literally the first time I thought you were actually proposing to me. And so I was like, wow, here we go.
So what was going through your mind, like in terms of like, okay, I'm being proposed to when I didn't even expect that? Like, what was going through your head there?
Yeah. I mean, it was an easy yes for
Okay.
me.
I mean, she said yes with no ring, so that tells you everything you need to know.
It was an easy yes for me, but I also was like, afterwards, after the adrenaline and everything wore off, and like I went back home because I still didn't live in Florida. I went back home and I was like, okay, what is marriage? Like I always thought that I was gonna be like alone, honestly. Like our relationship was like my first real love, to be honest, because I've had other relationships before, but after being with him, I was like, that's love right there. Like,
Yeah.
and so I thought like, oh my gosh, I never even thought about getting married and then having kids. But I thought about like the idea of it with him, and that was probably the first time ever. But I didn't think it was gonna happen like anytime soon. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So when he surprised me with that, I was like, oh, okay, let's
Get into it.
Yeah.
let's get
So
into
how
it.
old were you guys when you started dating, and how old were you guys when you got engaged?
So I remember this very clearly because in the very beginning, he asked me to hang out for his 21st birthday, and I said no. And he ended up spending his 21st birthday alone, and I had no idea.
Oh, that's really sad.
Drinking a Four Loko in the
Not
dark.
the four. Oh, this
in
is
the dark.
sad.
That was another sad. Wow.
Did you cry? Oh. Bring the tissue,
Yo,
please.
I remember because I was in my apartment in the dark, grape Four Loko in hand, and just like, yo, this is what I'm doing for my birthday because I cleared my schedule for you, thinking you're gonna say
wow.
yes, and I was like, oh,
That
I
was-
guess I'm doing nothing tonight.
Oh,
That's yep. That. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
So what's she trying to
make her
say?
feel
is-
bad. It's
yeah, I want you to feel it.
Yeah.
No, but it was when so I was 20. You were both 20. We started dating when we were
20
20.
and 21, yeah, because I'm a little bit older than him.
Yeah, felt that.
But I took you out for your birthday too.
Yeah.
Well, actually, you went out and I just kind of followed because you
That
still weren't feeling
sounds-
me
that
yet.
checks out.
That
Okay.
that's more
So
accurate.
we were together for 5 years before he proposed.
okay. Okay. So, question on what was your spiritual walks like? I heard that. I remember you saying, Matt, that you just started to have a come to God moment after your one friend went to jail. But Dana, what was your walk with?
Yeah, I
Like-
think that God's story was very present during that time. I feel like the timing was everything. So this man is actually the one who introduced me to Jesus without actually putting any kind of pressure or any kind of like, typically what I would have experienced. So when he left to go back home and I was still in Idaho, I was working after college at the university, he left his Bible. I guess I could rewind it a little bit more because I remember when we were dating and we were like, chilling a little bit, and he told me he felt convicted about our relationship and like how intimate we were. And I was like, convicted?
What's that?
What that mean?
What is that? And I was like, that is not what these other guys out here are doing out here. They're slinging it all around, but this man felt convicted with our relationship. So that was like already like in my head, like, what is that? And then when he left his Bible, and it was kind of a low point because everyone left me at the same time. Like my best friend went home. He went home. Everyone that I was like around going to school with, because I went to college for 5 years because I double majored, and then I also worked there. So I stayed there in this college town with nobody there, and I was like, let me start reading this Bible that he left. And so I started reading it. I think it was King James. version, and like I didn't even know, but I'm.
She was reading that Bible more than I was. I didn't. I'm like, I had a Bible.
I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, you brought a Bible to college?
Yo, that Bible
Sure
was
his
so
mom stuck
old.
it in
Yeah,
her
I know that there was like pages falling out of it, and it was one of those old like King James
Yeah.
Bibles, like where the pages
Yeah.
are like yellow. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
And it was the thin one too, like no footnotes. I'm like, I don't know how you read that. Like, yo, God, that was a God move
Yeah.
for sure. But
So
yeah,
I
That-
started
They say
reading
because the way I look at it is like, you know, people like to say they planted the seed, and I definitely did not plant that seed. That seed just fell out of my pocket. It was like,
Yeah.
I was just, I'm
There's
like,
a
yo,
tiny,
where did that?
tiny
I know I had a
mustard
seed in here somewhere, and I was like, so like that was an accident, but yeah, it was a God move for sure.
Yeah, so I was like reading the Bible and like finding devotions, things online, and then I'm like, let me just like ask him. So I'd like ask him questions, and then he was like, let's do devotions together over Skype and stuff like that. So we did that through long distance, and it was kind of like around the time when you were starting to realize like, okay, I need to like turn around and focus on Jesus. And so I think that was like great timing. I needed the word. Like I felt like that's why God isolated me in that area, because like when would I ever else bring up the Bible? I'm like waiting for results to come back from law school, and I'm waiting to figure out where I'm going to move next. So it was kind of like a waiting zone, and that's exactly the time I needed to focus and read in the Bible that I've never like I grew up Catholic, but like the kind that go Christmas and Easter. So I did not have a relationship with Jesus, and it wasn't until that summer, I guess it was the summer, I started reading it and getting more into it and asking you a lot of questions. And so
Did
Yeah.
you have answers to those questions that she was asking you?
I mean, I used to text Dad like, "Yo, Dad, what would you say?" Father, I need some help here. My dad was the one giving me the real riz. He's
There
like,
it
"Yo, this is
is.
what you need to say." If y'all know my dad, he got all the riz. Man.
Oh man, that's a Riz master. That's crazy. But yeah, that is something I was gonna ask you, because you're like, oh, like this is from God. But I'm like, I know you guys weren't on the same page in the beginning. But I mean, I don't know how strong you were in your walk when you were in college, anyways, to begin with. But did that ever come across your mind? Like, I want her to be my wife, but she's not. We don't have the same like relationship with God. Like, I don't know if this could work, or was it just like,
I asked
whatever?
him that all the time.
That was never a thought that crossed my
crazy.
mind. It wasn't until after I proposed where, rest in peace, Sheena actually approached me and was like, "Is she a Christian?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Has she been saved?" And I was like, "I don't know." And
Sheena asking the question.
yo, and Sheena was like, she's like, "I think you probably need to like figure that out before you guys get married." And
That's
I was
real.
like,
Sheena, dog.
And then had a conversation with Sister Bonner.
Sister Bonner will do it.
Sister Bonner took her to the back, and Dana came out in tears, and I was like,
Wait, you had a conversation with her?
yeah, that's how she grabbed you."
Dang.
Oh my lord!
Manipulation.
I did not know.
You feel
that.
manipulated?
I
Manipulated now?
feel a little bit manipulated.
So this is all from God.
Because
What
I
was?
didn't think you had any hand in it, which is why I loved it so much, because I felt like I was on my way there, but in my own timing to develop my relationship. Because what I've seen growing up is people feel pressured to be saved or get baptized because everyone else around them is doing it. They know if they want to be a part of the church, they need to do it. And growing up seeing that with all these different types of religions, I avoided that. And because he didn't put any pressure on me is why I pushed into it more and like wanted to know more about Jesus. And I wanted to find my faith, my journey, figure it all out on my own. And then, Sister Bonner brought me to the back of the church.
You know
And
what's
I didn't
crazy?
even
The
know.
Bible that I use right now is from Sister Bonner.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I turned
nice.
to the front. I was studying, and I was doing a study in the Bible the other day, and I don't know how I got to the very front page, because I never go to the front page of my Bible. But it was like, from Sister and Brother Bonner to Dana and Matthew Harvey.
Oh, that's so nice.
And the Bible verse that I was studying was I think it was Psalms 23, and that's the verse that's at the front of the Bible too. It just like correlated, and I was like, Sister Bonner, I love you, girl.
yeah, she's still alive. So
Yeah, but I think
Yeah.
I think it's so cool that, kind of like you were saying, that even though he did talk to Sister Bonner before, but your walk wasn't to impress anybody. It wasn't to like, oh, I want him to love me, I want him to like truly accept me.
Yeah.
But it's like Jesus brought you in
Yeah.
on his own. It's like, Like the seed fell out of Matt's pocket, but Jesus like took it, put it into a pot and watered it inside of you. So I didn't think that's just a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think growing up, I was surrounded by Mormons and I wasn't accepted by anybody. So if I wanted to date somebody in like my high school, I needed to convert. And I could have easily done that and been married and had 5 kids already, but that's not what I wanted and it's not what I believed, and I knew it wasn't the truth. And so because I didn't feel that pressure from you, I felt like I was doing this journey on my own, not thinking that you needed me to be saved or baptized to get married. And so I'm grateful that I had that time and no pressure to do that. And it just so happened that I was saved and baptized all before we got married, but it was all in God's timing because it was all right to me. So
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just to answer your guys' question, because I know we kind of sidetracked from it, but that definitely wasn't something that I was looking for in a spouse, like at all. Which is really bad because, as I said, I'm a preacher's kid, and that's kind of how I was raised. But I went through a season after I left for college. That was definitely my prodigal son season, where I was just like, I want to do my own thing. I finally get to live my own life. Like, no one can tell me anything. And like looking back on it, it's such a sad season of my life because not only did I like kick God out of my life in a sense, but I was also like pushing my family away. I felt like my mom. I remember my mom used to blow me up when I was in college. But I would every time she would call me, I'd be doing something. I'm like, oh, conviction, and I'm like, Dan, can't call you right, can't answer this phone call right now, mom. Like all the time, and then it's just like there were just so many moments that I was just like, God was like such in the back of my mind, and I was just like trying to live my own life and. I wouldn't say figure things out because I already knew and had a relationship with God, but since I wasn't around those godly people, there was definitely no sharpening ironing in this situation. Like everybody was just in the world, and my spiritual maturity was I was still drinking Similac. Like I was not there at all with my spiritual walk with God, and because I was so weak, I was just falling under all the temptations, and it was just so easy for me to fall into trials and different tribulations, and I was just like comfortable in the mud. Like I was just like, yeah, I'm here, it's fine. My body's kind of molding to this mud. I'm just gonna stay here for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't until when I got back from school, when my boy got arrested, I got arrested shortly after that.
I thought we were going to breeze over that. I'm like, I know he's not going to act like he didn't get arrested. Okay.
I thought she was going to ask the follow-up question. I was like, she's not going to ask.
I was like, maybe he doesn't want to talk about it.
No, but I definitely just felt like a Holy Spirit moment just now that God was just like, talk about it. So I was like, all right, let's do it. I'm being obedient right now.
I love that.
So there was a moment that I got arrested, and that is truly when the switch turned on for me. It wasn't until like I was in those handcuffs and I was like, what am I doing with my life? Like how far have I fallen from grace in a in this situation? But what I realized is that moment of me getting arrested was God showing his grace. And what I mean by that is I could have fell so much further into the mud.
Yeah.
I could have drowned it in the mud. That mud could have turned into sinking sand. But God was like, my grace right now is going to be me putting you in jail so you realize that it's time to tighten up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when that happened, I started seeing clearer, and I went. The real reason I was down there and I got into trouble is because I was trying to get my friend out of trouble. But who was I to think that I was strong enough to do that? Because I fell right into the mud with him. There were some seeds that were planted in his life, which he still talks about till this day. Conversations we've had that has brought him out of his pit. And now he's in a better place as well, and he walks with God.
He's in an amazing place.
He's in a great place.
Are you guys gonna have him on your podcast?
Yep. I'm when he's ready to talk.
You should.
Hey, man.
Yeah. When he's ready.
After he talks to y'all, man, I want to bring him on our
Yeah,
show.
when he's ready,
to
it's
talk.
gonna be great.
And you know what's funny is when I did get arrested, Dana was there too. This is on the trip where she came to visit me.
I just came down to visit.
She came
and-
to
Wait, how
visit
many
me.
times did you get arrested?
Oh, so no, the first no. So I
Sorry, this
my
is crazy.
we got
The first time
we got
wasn't
put
an
in
arrest.
we got put in handcuffs. This is when they arrested my friend the first time.
Ah, okay,
we got
okay.
put in handcuffs, but since I wasn't the guy, they were like, oh, and Dana saved me because if Dana wasn't there, they probably would have took me too.
Oh, for sure.
I'm like, yo, she's here to visit. Like she has nowhere to go. And they were like, okay, well, we're not looking for you anyway, so you're good.
Oh, and she's pretty. We're gonna.
Yeah, they're like, you're good.
Pretty privileged. Saved
And
your
I was
life.
like, whew, thank you, Jesus. Set Dana down at the right
Wild.
time.
Like, she's the one.
What were the chances that the time where she came to visit is the time where we got raided? I'm like, that's crazy. So what happened after that is they, so long story short, they wanted more information from my friend's whole situation. So they came and found me. And that's how I got arrested the other time.
Right after you proposed.
Yeah, right after I proposed.
I was also visiting.
And I was like,
Good
listen,
timing.
I'm so far gone from that situation. I don't want nothing to do with it. So I thought I could just like ignore calls. But they came right to knocked on my door.
Behold, your
came all the way
city
to
shall
Port
find
St.
you
Lucie.
out.
They're like, oh, excuse me, sir.
Bro, that night
sir.
was crazy. Like I remember there was a knock on the door. I don't remember if I answered the door or something, but I just remember my mom being in absolute shambles.
Oh, man. It was
Oh,
a
I did
mess.
answer the door. Like, is Matthew Harvey here? I'm like, looking for my brother. I'm like, this can't be good. I remember being like, are you
Should have
gonna?
said no.
Right.
Nah, he ain't here, fam. Close
Like,
the door.
no, Levon's here though. You want him? I was like, are you gonna arrest my brother? They're like, we just need to talk to him. My brother went outside. He never came back. I'm like, but you said.
Yeah, they got me so smooth. I didn't know the law. So they're just like, hey, can you step outside? We just need to talk to you. And I was like, okay, let's talk. Stepped outside. As soon as I stepped outside, I'm like, oh! I said, yo, what's going on?
Oh my gosh. And
Yo.
mind you, this is right after he proposed.
And
And I'm like,
again.
what in the world did I just commit my life to? But yeah, and then it was awkward because your parents had no idea what you have been doing the last few months or why you would even be in trouble. And so I had to explain to them what was
tough.
happening.
I'm sorry, babe.
That is tough.
I'm like, they hate me even more because I know
knew.
what you were doing and what your friend was doing. And so I was like, this is
Rough.
rough.
Okay,
Yes.
so coming from someone who you guys didn't hear this part, but her biggest scandal was driving with too many people in the car, not enough seatbelts. So coming from like the life that you grew up in, just in the books, like very good girl, how did it make you feel seeing him get arrested twice or in handcuffs twice? Like, was this like, oh, I definitely want to spend my life with this bad boy? Or was it like, maybe I should go back to the drawing board? It's like, how am I going to bring him home to my family?
I
Like, what was
know.
that like for you?
She's like, oh, he a thug?
Ooh, you
that's what
said
I've
you
been
want a
like.
thug. Don't be scared. Nah.
I wish I could have been like that. I was like a calm, cool, collective ride or die. So I was very supportive, like trying to help him and everything. Because I realized like, and had I not like given my life to Jesus, I probably would have bounced for sure. Because
Jesus saves yet again.
Thank you, Jesus. Yes.
Yet again.
Yes.
because I definitely was understanding like he was living in the flesh and I just needed to have grace for him to extend that to him. He needed that. And I could see it that me just being another person to be like pointing fingers at him and telling him what he's not doing right was not going to help. So I was just trying to be supportive, but the whole you getting arrested thing after you proposed was definitely like, ooh, all right, well, we're in here, so let's figure it out. I helped you research like lawyers and ways to clear your name and things like that, which all of it happened. But
I was innocent, by the way. I didn't. I'm not guilty. I'm
was
not a
real-
convicted. I'm not a convicted felon or
it was
anything.
real foolish injustice for sure, but it was a wake up call for you. So I think it was necessary. I think, but scary all the same. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the moment where my whole mindset shifted, and I realized that and her support throughout that whole process was just like words cannot explain, and that's what just kind of confirmed everything that I was feeling. And I was like, man, can we get married like today? Like how can I solidify this? But it was God working in our marriage, and for me to be the man I needed to be for our marriage, for me to be the father I needed to be, for me just to mature spiritually, like that situation needed to happen for me. And it's unfortunate that sometimes people need that kind of kick in the butt to like get their mind right. But that's exactly what I needed. And I think that plays a huge role in who I am today. And it's developed me, it's matured me, it's refined me. And that was just the start of our story, because as much as I thought that I was refined during that season, when I got married, there was a lot more refining that needed to take place. And that wouldn't have been done if I didn't have her by my side.
Yeah. We actually use Dana as a reference. Like before, my husband's brother's name is also Matt, and he reminds me of my brother. Before he started dating who he's dating now, me and your dad would be like, he just needs to find his Dana. He just needs to find his Dana to get him together. And
That's crazy.
Yeah.
yeah, like that's the new
100%.
term. Find your Dana.
I
Find
love
your
that.
Dana.
I love that.
You're my Dana,
I'm
low
so
key.
honored.
It's just a term now.
Oh
a
my
Dana.
gosh, a Dana.
I need a time check. Like how
Yeah, I don't know.
How
We're
long
doing
we-
good. We can keep rolling. We're 48 minutes in, but
Okay,
I mean,
okay,
All
that's
right,
not
that-
bad.
that's not bad.
That's not bad. Yeah.
No,
That's-
but I didn't know where
I
we
know.
were at.
You're
I have a
doing-
few more questions, but
Go ahead, man. We're here. Y'all got
go
us.
ahead.
You go ahead.
Y'all got us.
Okay, so let's talk about blending your families or bringing your Matthew home and you bringing Dana
my.
home. Did you even know her like mom and dad before you proposed?
Yeah, I went. There was one summer where I didn't.
It was
Was it
my
the summer?
graduation.
It was the summer I didn't go home. And she ended up
yeah.
graduating, and I was just at Idaho. And as you guys know, there's first of all, Idaho in itself, there's like barely anybody there. But at the university specifically during the summer, there's like really nobody there. So I don't know. Was this summer? Was this is Thanksgiving? Was it what?
Yeah, it's
what break?
May when I
That was May.
graduated,
Okay,
yeah.
so yeah, this is summer break, and I just think that we just didn't have enough money for me to fly home. So I'm sorry.
Figure it out.
Yeah, we can't. We were from the bottom. So my parents was like, you just got to stay there for the summer. So I was there, and she's like, well, I'm going home for my graduation. Do you want to come? And I was like, I mean, let's ride. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Once again,
even though I was
casual.
super nervous, but it was like, it was definitely a moment where, looking back on it, you know, just another God moment where I was able to meet your family and I was able to celebrate your graduation with you, which was like not on my checklist of things to do at all. So it's like
It
for
was a
that to
good
happen, it was
time.
it was awesome.
It was a good
It was
time
awesome.
because it was my graduation. So all my family that they live in California, they all flew out to Idaho to celebrate. So you got to meet everybody, all my grandparents, all my very close aunts and uncles, and so it was just really funny that you came home and like met everyone and. I never brought anyone home.
That's a lot of pressure. Oh my God,
You're like, is that your
everyone
boyfriend?
serious
She's like,
message.
no.
My dad,
Like, you're like, what is this?
my
What's he
dad,
doing
my
here?
dad's going around introducing
Make-A-Wish
him
child?
to everyone as my
Make-A-Wish.
friend,
Very
my
making.
friend from college.
I had the dreads too, so you already know.
Oh my
Like,
God.
yeah, I was out here
Tattoos.
talking.
He had a tank top on, so all his tattoos were out.
Oh
and-
my gosh.
man.
A parent's
It was-
nightmare.
yeah.
A parent's
But her
nightmare.
grandparents love me. They're like, oh, you're from Jamaica?
Yeah, because
They're like,
my
oh, can I touch your
grandpa's-
dreads? Like,
Oh my God.
I was like, oh,
my
what's up, man?
grandmas,
I
my
feel like I'm
little
at home.
Filipino grandmas were like loving him, and then my grandpa lived in Jamaica for a little while, and he traveled all over to these Polynesian islands and everywhere. So he loved asking you so many questions about Jamaica, which I feel like you
Zero answers again. You had to text dad.
Once again, yep, I was gonna say I was texting dad again, like, hey, so where are you from in Jamaica?
I still ask
Got
that
it.
to the day. I'm like, where are you from again?
Oh my gosh! So yeah, he was interacting with everyone. We played. It was funny. He lost to my grandma Lolly in ping pong. Like it was a
Her
good
old
time. It
behind
was
had
really
a
fun.
good forearm.
It was really fun, and it was hilarious because like my parents are just like, oh my god, who's
Who's this guy?
and, so, and again, it was super casual, but that was the first and last time you saw them until you proposed.
Yeah.
That's crazy. From here's my friend with the dreads to years later, like, hey, can I marry your daughter? Like, I'm sorry, the friend.
Yeah, my dad is really intimidating for sure. So I give him props for actually asking him.
Well, when I called this man to ask him if I could propose to his daughter,
Jeez.
I remember I called him, and it was loud in the background.
mowing the
It was like,
lawn.
I'm like, what's going on? He's like, yeah, I'm mowing the lawn. And I was like, oh, hey, so I was calling because I wanted to ask you, you know, for your hand in
For my hand.
for your daughter's hand in marriage. And then he was like, and you could just hear the lawnmower cut off. It was like, grrr. And then it was silent. And then he's like, I'm gonna call you back. And then hung up the phone. I was like, whoa.
Oh man, that's a lot.
Whoa.
That is a lot.
So that was crazy. And then he called back and he started asking, he asked a couple questions and he's like, yeah, okay. Did he call you? Like, how did you, like, I want to talk to your dad and ask him what was going through his mind and like what made him say yes at that point. Like, what
I think
happened? That's
he
very
has a lot
interesting.
of trust for me because I feel like I've made good decisions all my life. So it's like hard for me to, choose the wrong person if I'm.
He's like, you can ask, but if she probably gonna say no, fam.
Yeah, he's like, no,
Go ahead, have at it. Have at it.
Yeah.
Called her like, you said yes. What did you
what are you doing?
But he was on FaceTime there when, because he think he was away for work. He couldn't make it to the proposal, but he was on FaceTime and he saw the whole thing and,
Yeah.
we've grown to have a relationship over
Yeah,
the
you
years.
guys have a cute one now.
love it.
Were there any cultural differences? I mean, obviously cultural differences, but like that you guys personally had to wrestle with, like families wise, and then like individually with one another too.
Well, for me, because I'm half white, like mixed German or whatever, and then half Filipino, I already kind of understood like the clash of families. Like I saw the difference between going to Christmas with my dad's family versus going to Christmas with my mom's family. And so seeing them blend together so nicely, I was kind of like ready to do that with you. I loved your family. I like loved your mom. I loved playing games with her. I loved how funny your sister and brother were. Like Jess was like so sweet. Like I remember we used to talk on Twitter all the time.
We did.
Like I just loved your family and your culture. I loved your food. Oh my God. When I had oxtail for the first time, I was like,
Oxtail will do it.
let's do it. Let's,
Special.
let's
I'm like, I
special.
can't make it,
wrap
but
this up. That's a lie.
there's a
Yeah.
Jamaican spot down the street. It took me a while. It took me a
Yeah.
while.
So I mean, I even like tried to embrace it in college too, because I remember he said he was homesick, and I was like, oh, well, let me look up like what Jamaicans eat, and then I saw jerk chicken. I was like, let's make it. And
Oh, my goodness.
That's a queen.
tasted jerk
I think
chicken
I'm still
before.
chewing on that chicken right now.
She tried.
Made it in the oven, like, oh my gosh. But so yeah, I think for me at least, combining families, like even our first Christmas together here, we had all of my family, all of your family here.
That was
like
one of the best Christmases.
It was
yeah.
so fun. So like my family loves your family and vice versa. I think. I mean, but what we have been doing with kids is like blending our traditions. So that's something that we had to like kind of figure out, not so much when we got married, but more when we had kids.
Yeah.
Okay, so talk about that. Well, you can talk about the wedding, but like those first years of marriage, pre-kids, and how that was. Did you guys have any rough patches or?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, there was definitely rough patches. I was still like transitioning out of my thoughty ways. So like I was still working on like having an eye only for my wife. Like there would still be like side conversations that I'd have with girls. Like,
Too friendly.
yeah, just being too friendly, being too friendly. It's like I feel like every man has to learn
Yeah.
boundaries when you get married, because it's like a lot of things that you used to do before, and even if you're like toning it down a little bit, like you need to tone it down a lot
Yeah.
when you get married. So
For sure.
there was just too much of that took place that she made it evident to me that like that was a form of cheating. Like I was giving my time and my energy and my effort and my like emotions essentially to other people instead of her. Like that's a part of cheating essentially.
Yeah.
It's going against our vows. So I was like, I'm not cheating. All I did was send a text. Like I didn't do anything. But no, like that was still something that I needed to work on, because I think of it like, I lived the first 24 years of my life being quote unquote single. And just living my own life and being selfish essentially, where it's like now you have to worry about another person, and like now you're not just worrying about her, but like you guys have become one at this point, but it's still a transition. It still takes time to like chisel away some of my old desires and some of my old ways and like old ambitions, if you will, to be the man that I need to be for you. So I think during that season, like I was still trying to figure it all out, and and it took time because I was very defensive and I was stubborn, and I thought like my way was the right way. And instead of like really relying on the word and truly believing what God said instead of like what I think is right, I think that was definitely a process for me.
Yeah, the first 2 years are definitely the hardest. And definitely like so many times where I'm like, should I get out? Like there was a lot of those, which I feel like is so different from other people's first couple years there in the honeymoon stage.
Yeah.
And so it was hard for us. I feel like now we're in the honeymoon stage. I feel like we've overcome, we've been able to refine ourselves. And we were both, working through some refinement with each other, but it was more so focused on you. But then later on I realized like, I have a lot of sin. It just looks different. It's a different song than yours. So we had to really work on some things. And the first 2 years, I think, were hard trials.
Yeah, and what I want to tell people as well is like, even though, I had my sins at the beginning, and like, she had her sins, but at the end of the day, it's like, even if you feel like your spouse is doing something wrong, and even when they admit to doing something wrong, it's like you still need to look at the man in the mirror. You need to focus on who you are and potentially what you did or could have done to mold them into this person. So for me, for example, just to throw one out there, is like because I was being such a wild boy in the beginning of our marriage, like now she kind of had a guard up. Like the trust wasn't there because I had to rebuild that trust. So there was a lot of moments where I was just like, yo, I'm just going to hang out with my brother, or why can't I just, go to this place or that place, whatever it may be. And she still had a guard up, and she was like, and I was like, yo, I don't want to, like, you can't hold me down. Like, I gotta live my life. But I had to understand that it takes time. There's a healing process when it comes to that. And people think that happens overnight, but it takes time. It takes time. And I think that you need to be patient during that season, especially when you're probably the root of why she's the way that she is, and be patient through all of that. So I knew that I had a lot to work on, even though, you self-discovered some things that you could have worked on. It was still like, I still need to make sure that I'm leading the way and I'm being the person that God wants me to be, and not pointing the finger like, yeah, I told you that you're prideful, or I told you that X, Y, Z. So I think that's very important, and people need to understand that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Okay. All right. I just have like a few more, and then we'll wrap it up.
Oh,
But
is it going to be on that same topic, or you're moving on?
what do you have, sir?
Okay. So I thought the advice Matt gave was really good. Dana, what advice would you give to fellow?
We're on advice already. You want to end with advice?
No. On this specific topic.
All right, fine. I'll let you cook.
Dinks
All right,
is just his words. Dual income, no kids. What advice would you give for that stage of like relationship? I guess it's the stage where we're in too.
Yeah, I was gonna save that for the end, but
I'm
okay.
sorry.
Well, that is a sweet spot because you get to share your time with just each other. So I would really build a strong foundation there. So one of the things that Matthew and I did, even despite all the trials and everything that was going on, we poured into our marriage by joining marriage groups and seeking counseling and doing Bible studies and things like that. We were making sure that that was a good foundation because you get rocked a little bit when you get married and you're just like trying to find your way and mold each other into one.
Yeah.
And so once you've really like firmed that up, I think that that's a good time to open up to sharing your lives with little humans, because once you're one, then it's really hard to break that up because you have established the tools that God gave you to be firm, strong, resilient, so that things, little easy, like small things or big things won't tear you apart. So I think we've gone through some big trials after, and having gone through what we did and leaning on the one true person, which is God, to fill us like spiritually and make us stronger, because we were weak. We were two weak people, but we had a really strong God. And so that helped us further introduce new trials and get through them almost effortlessly, I think.
That's good.
Really good.
You did that.
Yeah, that was good.
Really good.
2 weak people with a strong God.
I'm like, turn the TikTok camera on for that one.
Gotta tap that on my chest. I love it.
All right, just go ahead. I'm going to carry
So I wanted to talk again regarding your first 2 years of marriage. You had a huge transition because now you're with all of Matt's family, and your family is in Idaho and California, and we're in Florida. So what was it like moving across the country? I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah, moving across country.
I don't know my geography. I'm like, where's Idaho exactly?
I know.
Wow, you're one of those.
Like 2,700 miles away.
Yeah. What was it like leaving your family? I know you're close to your brother, you're close to your mom and your dad. What was it like leaving all of them and coming down here to be with him? Like, did you have resentment? Like, why can't you move over here? Like, what was that like for you?
Yeah. So in the beginning, I was really excited. Like, I lived in Idaho my whole life. I went to college in Idaho. All my family lives in California, and I'd visit them super often. So I wasn't like, I wanted something new, and Florida was completely new. Your family I loved, so it felt like I wasn't leaving family. I was still going to my new family. It wasn't until like holidays started rolling around and some couldn't come out here, because I have some great family where they all, like even my uncles and aunts would fly down here and spend time with me and our family. But it wasn't until the moments where they started to like get too busy, or they had their own families they were starting, that they couldn't come see me. And we'd go like months without seeing each other. Or when we had kids and I couldn't just like go over to my best friend's house and have our kids play together. That's when it really started to hit me like, man, I'm really far away.
Yeah.
So we make a lot of trips to the West Coast, and luckily our kids are like adapting to that travel. But I definitely I don't think it's like we're gonna live here forever. If we do move, it will be a God move. But I feel like now I'm a little bit more comfortable because we established our own family here. But definitely in the beginning, I was like, oof, that's tough.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, you did a great job of that. As I said, and this is one of the qualities I said at the beginning of the podcast that you're so great at is you're so adaptable. It's like no matter where I take you, no matter what crowd we're around, it's like you always just fit right in. Like you're just such an easy person to get. No, you do. You're such an easy person to get along with. You can have conversation with anybody, and that showed in the dynamic of our family. You were able to get along. My mom, my dad, like my brothers, my sisters, cousins, like aunties, uncle, like all of them. It was just so seamless, the transition of bringing you in. And that was just another confirmation. I was like, God, I made the right decision.
Yeah, it was seamless. It was like
really
butter.
good.
And then she lived with my aunt and my uncle. And
love them.
that was a fun time. But one thing I also loved about Dana, one thing I really loved about, there's so many things I love about Dana, but she came to the house, she started baking stuff. I remember the first thing she made for me, actually I have it on my Instagram still. It was like a Snickers cake or something like
my
that.
gosh.
That cake was so good. She would like leave me a little note. And I remember one time when I went to go try out for American, no, what was it? I don't know, something. She like sent me balloons and stuff. I'm like, I love her so much. It wasn't until the first Christmas where she took Matt away. I'm like, get her out of here. No,
yeah, that was tough. Yeah.
no,
Our
but
first Christmas
I mean,
away.
I understood. I'm like, you know, I'm like now our family is changing. And I remember there was one Christmas where my other brother got married too. They were both gone, but then they got to spend Christmas together because you guys were in LA.
yeah.
That's real.
Now Levon and Matt are with their wives in LA having Christmas, and I'm by myself. I wasn't married yet. I'm like, I hate this. I hate this. Send these girls out of here.
Yeah, that's the tough part about living so far away from your family because you guys literally could see both your families on Christmas Day, and that's something we probably won't ever experience unless all of them come here. But the dynamic of our families is like something I appreciate though too.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So the next thing, I'm sorry. Let me know whenever you have something. Okay. I have two more things. I want to talk about your career changes into what you guys are doing now. And I want you guys to give some advice for keeping it spicy after all these years.
Ooh.
Yeah. So we'll leave that to the end, but let's talk about your careers a little bit. Where you guys started off and where you guys are now. And let us know how it's been working together because you guys work together all the time now, and you guys haven't killed each other yet. So let us in on
Almost did.
on that and how
She almost killed me.
I can understand. Yeah, let us into that a little bit.
Okay. Well, I was an accountant for I think like 8 or 9 years because after this man changes everything, but I was going to go to law school and then I realized like I didn't have a strong passion anymore. And all of my friends that were getting out of law school, they were like, I don't want to do this anymore. And they're like, if you want to go, you really need to like know for sure. And since I didn't, I just went to my fallback, which I had 2 degrees. So I used my accounting degree and I started working in Florida. And you were doing in a lot of different things.
That's what happens when you don't focus in school. You start just doing a lot of different things.
I felt that.
I was all over the place, man. I was doing, I had a telecommunications job. Then I went into recruiting. Then I went into insurance. So I was really putting my liberal arts degree to work.
General studies.
I was really putting that thing to work. So like before the transition, the most recent job that I had was in the insurance field. And I was doing that for about 4 or 5 years until we transitioned until she would, I'll tell your sides first. You can go into that because she took the leap of faith first, which was very difficult because, I mean, obviously she was an accountant. She was getting paid very well. She loved her job. There was a lot of opportunity, but this whole social media thing just started to organically bloom. Yeah. And it was a lot of late nights for you.
Yeah.
Well,
A
tell
lot
us a
of
little
late
about the
nights.
origin story of the Home of the Harveys account and like what that started for and like how
Yeah.
you guys organically kind of came.
Yeah, we started. Well, it's so weird, but I got pregnant with Penelope or Pia. Sorry, let me not forget my kids, but got pregnant with my oldest, and everyone was while I was in labor, everyone was like hitting up Matthew like, where's she at? What's happening now? Da, da, da. And he's like, I'm just gonna go on her Instagram and just like update you all through like stories. So that's how he did it. And then that's how we became a combined Instagram account. And then because my family all lived on the West Coast, I wanted to update them all the time in one platform. So I'd like post pictures of her milestones, all these things. And then I like loved taking pictures of our family and her. And so it was Valentine's Day when he bought me like a web domain so I could start blogging. And like, you know, I was an accountant, so I was in Excel all the time. I wanted like a creative outlet, and that was like his gift to me, which I thought was super thoughtful. So I started blogging for myself and for my family. And then I think it was like Oshkosh or Carter's. They reached out to us and they're like, hey, can we send you some clothes and like $500 and you just take some pictures? And I was like,
This is a thing?
It's like, yes.
yeah. I was like, how fun. Like, I was more so excited about the free clothes because I was like, I love like dressing her up.
How many years ago was this?
So this was in 2018.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2018 or 17, actually.
2017, yeah.
2017. So that's when I started doing that like more, and I started posting more pictures of her. I think we bought like our first DSLR camera that year too.
Didn't know what I was doing.
We had no idea how to use it, but we're like, let's take some pictures. You know, half of them came out blurry, half of them came out clear. And so we started posting pictures, and then more brands started reaching out. And I was like, this is so fun. Like, I get all this extra money, you know, and we started putting it to the side, saving it. And then the big dogs started to roll in. So I got some heavy hitters. I started doing a lot more. And so I ended up doing pretty much 2 full-time jobs at the same time. And I was like being promoted at my job, but then also getting like more money in my side hustle. And we would use every minute of our weekend to like shoot content or do things. And it was easy then because she was a baby. And then I remember being like so stressed, like to the max. It was like in 2019 when I'm doing both things. I had been repeatedly like telling Matthew, I was like, oh, I'll quit my job like once I make the same amount that I make at my current job. And I'd get there. And then I'm like, okay, when I double my salary, that's when I'll leave and I'll step away from accounting. And I'd get there. And then I'm like, okay, make it 3 times as much and I'm stepping away. And I'd get there and I'd still wouldn't drop the ball. I was like, I had like a control issue. I was like, no, I need a stable income. That's what I grew up learning. That's what I know. But all of this was organically growing, and it wasn't by, I feel like it was just all by the grace of God. And he kept telling me like, let go, let go, let go. And I got COVID. And it was like in the beginning when everyone thought you're going to die. And so I remember I was trapped in that room over there, and it was like during my birthday. And I was like, it was the only time where I couldn't shoot content. I couldn't work. I couldn't do anything. I just had to sit. And I was like, I came out and I was like, babe, I'm going to quit my job. And so he was like all supportive of it. And so we ended up.
I was like, about time, girl. She used to be up at like 3 a.m, just like editing and like responding to emails and doing pitches and like all the things. And I was like, girl, I'm like one eye open. Like,
I had no idea. Like, I had no idea how much work it was to do that kind of stuff. I thought you just, take a picture and post it.
And that's what everybody still thinks. People still think it's that easy, but like there's so
Yeah.
much more that goes into it. And it's like seeing her go through all that, because she was handling the load. I mean, I was really just like the entertainment, and she's
the
handling
talent.
she's handling like all the back end, and seeing her just like grind night after night after night. And and she asked me like, hey, I give her the confirmation. I'm like, girl, quit your job whenever you're ready. Like, I will be good. But she was still like, I don't know, like had that doubt. So when you finally decided to do that, I was like, praise God, like let's go. And that just gave us more opportunity to grind in that area. But when she quit, I was still working. I worked for another like 2 or 3 years. I think 2 years.
2 years because we had another baby.
Yeah, and it was a blessing, because if you guys know the whole birth story, which you guys can listen to on our podcast when that comes out, but
Good plug.
Yeah, there you go. At home with the Harveys. Make sure y'all subscribe. So like that whole thing happened, and thankfully I still had my job, because the benefits, like it helped us out immensely. Because just if y'all don't know, like Simi was a $2 million baby.
Yeah.
Sheesh.
Like, it was crazy what she had to go through in order to make sure that Simi came out healthy. And if I wasn't working at my job at the time, then I'm not sure what we would have done. So that was a blessing. But it definitely got to the point where
I needed help.
yeah, and this is when we had Pia and Penelope. Simi was in the belly, and I was like, on the fence. And then after we had Simi, things got crazy. Like
Yeah.
it was so hard for me to focus at work because I was getting tugged in both directions. And I was working
I'm
from
like,
home.
come shoot this photo
So it's
real
like
quick.
we had the kids home. She wanted me to help like shoot content. And then like I had to work. And then I was kind of like, we had conversations about it. I'm like, babe, I think I need to like let go of this job. And her being, the controlling control.
That's working
A planner.
That's the word I meant to use.
A planner.
A planner. She was like, nah, I don't think that's the right idea. And she's like, I don't know. You kind of need to make sure that you can like prove yourself in a sense before we do this. You gotta earn your way into it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't have time. What am I even gonna do? So finally, after a lot of prayer and fasting, God gave me the sign. It was time. And this was in 20, where was it? This is 2021. 2022. So it's been 2 years that she was able to hire me and bring me on staff. And it's been a great decision.
I feel like it's been so much longer.
Yeah, it's only been 2 years.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, 2 years, rolling into 3.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
a beautiful thing.
what was the video that made you guys like pop off? Like, how did you guys get to where you are now?
There's been a couple of videos, but the one that really like triggered, I think, a lot of buzz was this video that I had, because Matthew told me, he's like, you buy all these cute outfits for you and Pia to match. And I was like, you have plenty of matching outfits. You just got to try. And he's like, well, find me some. So I was like, oh, let's make this cute video. I'm going to have all these matching outfits for you. And you guys made this super adorable video right here in our kitchen.
Yeah, it was like a runway fashion.
It was so
yeah.
cute.
Yeah.
I love that video.
Yeah, and because of that video, we were on featured on a bunch of podcasts. We did some interviews, and then we were on the Kelly Clarkson show, and blew up from there. And then we've had a couple of other viral videos that a lot of like us, me and you doing just goofy stuff, and then mostly our kids.
I love it. I love it. Any trials you guys have had to face with social media or just with working together in general? Like, what has it been like?
Ooh, okay. I have two of them that came to mind.
Oh man.
So I'll go with the me one first. When it came to stepping down from my job and being, like I said, hired by Dana, there was definitely a lot of pride that set in during that season, because now I was going from making my own money and being the man of the house to like now working under her, where I was like trying to do things my own way in a sense. And she's like, nah, you should do it this way. And I think I was just like, yeah, but it's easier if I do it this way. And she's like, no, you should do it. And I was like, listen, this is how I'm going to do it. Okay. This is how I want to do it. And I definitely had a lot of pride in that situation where I just felt like,
we both did
taking like that stern direction. And listen, business Dana is a completely different person than like
you were talking about this
marriage.
Sweet, kind girl in
Yeah.
the beginning, and then like the teeth
Then,
came
yeah,
out.
I'm like, Dana turns into a different animal when it's about business, and when it's about like she gets so locked in, and she gives her all to everything that she does, and business is one of those things, which makes her which is the reason why the company is so successful. But it was also a weird transition for me, because I'm like, you being a little bit too like, you need to be submissive. You know what I'm saying? You need to like, if I say I'm gonna do it this way, you need to listen to me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But I needed to put my pride to the side. And a story that that comes to my mind is the Mary and Joseph story. It's like God went to Mary first. You know what I'm saying? He's like, this is the baby I'm giving you. And then Joseph just had to get on board.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so it was one of those, it was a realization for me. I was like, I need to get on board. Yeah, God will uplift me in due time, but I need to humble myself, and I need to level down so he can level me up when the time is due. So it was hard, but it was worth it.
Yeah.
It was worth it.
Yeah, I had some serious pride and controlling issues that God was working through me, and I think us working together refined me in like more ways than our like first 7 years of marriage. I feel like so like the last couple years have been like a real turning point, because I think in the beginning all eyes and fingers were on you and your sins, and then when we started working together, all eyes and fingers are pointing towards my sins, because those were really pulled out during that season. So I had a lot of pride in the sense of like, I built this myself. Like I put this together myself. I've been doing all these. I had to work 2 jobs like for so long, and all these hours, and then he just gets to come in here and just be like, all right, cool, let's chill. So I had a lot to work on in myself, and instead of like pointing fingers at him, I had to look internally and be like, why am I feeling this way? Why am I thinking this way? And once I started to let go and drop that pride and just let him do how he thinks he should do it and how he wants to do it and how God wants to use him to do it, that's when he started to blossom. And like, if I just needed to pull back. I needed to stop blocking his journey, because that's exactly what God wanted him to do in that specific way, not my way. And so I needed to just let that go, let him bloom in the way he needed to. And then it ended up being better than I could have ever imagined. So.
Well, that's great.
We love to see it.
I mean, I have one more. I was kind of like, should I tell the story? Yeah, let's tell it. So during our season of going viral, or during our season of blossoming, man, y'all, the Twitter fingers be strong out there. So
They are strong.
yes, so we got posted on a Black Love page.
Oh, I remember that because I was under there
It was Essence.
replying
Hey,
to people.
listen, the
It was
Harvey
Essence,
homies,
yeah.
it was Essence. The Harvey homies came out. They was like defending us in there, but a lot of people were like, oh, she's not black. You know, you taking our man. Like, there was all that energy.
It's so annoying, bro.
And like, at the end of the day, it's like, we're all God's children. Like, what are you guys talking about?
Yeah.
Like, why is color is just such a divisive thing that I feel like, there's still racism, which is crazy all these years later, but that's not the point. Actually, that kind of is the point. But one thing that she had to do is she had to step back from that, because she used to read all the comments, and she used to, and it used to make an impact on her emotionally. And I had to let her know, like, yo, just relax. Like, you can't really take what they like. It's social media.
Yeah.
Like, now someone come and say that to your face, we gonna have a problem.
Yeah.
Y'all gonna have to feel me.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? So y'all better stay on socials with all that foolishness.
Yeah.
But it was definitely a pruning season for her, because she definitely got too drawn into it, and I could see how it was like wearing her down. And that was like when I was like, listen, I need to start taking over on some of this. Like, so that was like one of the first jobs I started doing, is like, I'm handling like the engagement. I'm gonna comment and I'm gonna talk to people, so on and so forth. So that was a tough season for you, but I feel like you overcame it very well.
Yeah, I do think, though, our page has very low negativity. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if we just got all our aunties and grandmas on there, but
Shout out to y'all, man. I
there's
love
really
y'all.
like very little negativity.
That's a beautiful thing.
On our page, which is why I feel like God has his hand on it, because if there was some stuff in there, I think I would have probably shut it down a long time ago. But yeah, it's just like that one time where something went viral, and just, people didn't like me being white, and people didn't like my kids looking a little bit more like me sometimes. And so it did get to me. And I think because that hasn't really happened, or I haven't allowed it to affect me, that we've been able to continue to grow.
Yeah. Yeah, virality is not always a good thing. I know everyone's searching for like, I want to go viral, but you have to definitely be prepared for the things that come with it. But just listening to your story so far, I can really see how God's hand was like in every single part.
Yeah.
Like even down to you not being like going into college with like super strong faith and everything like that, because chances are, if you did, you probably would have been looking for, I need a woman who's saved and this and this and this. But like God waited but he orchestrated it as to where you guys were kind of on the same page, but you still were a little bit stronger in order to bring Dana there. And then you guys grew together. And then the way you got into social media, like his hand was all in your career as well. And it's just kind of beautiful to like hear it. Like I knew most of it, but hearing it again and like both sides, I'm like, I want to cry. It's just very beautiful, the things you guys have been through in the 9 years. But something people have always asked, and they ask us like our sex is still spicy. We're only in 2 years, It could be a little spicier, but we didn't do a little razzle dazzle. It's probably my fault why it's not. Anyway. Talking about sex with my brother.
I did not watch your guys' sex episode.
Talking about sex with my brother.
I'm like, I think I'm gonna skip this podcast.
No, you want to skip the one that's coming after, because anyway, you guys should have seen
like,
my
what?
brother's face when Jonathan was doing like the garter dance. He was so unimpressed. He was like,
I'm like, good luck. I'm like, you better loosen them hips.
they've been loosened.
I didn't have that much
In
practice.
the name of Jesus. In the name of Jesus.
Jesse put that oil on them?
I mean, I ordered them up tonight. You know what I'm saying?
Squeaky oil against the wheel.
Honestly, I'm the stiff one.
Oh my gosh.
Say Drake. Okay, so Matthew and Dana, 9 years in, people always ask like how to keep it spicy, but I think that question would be much better for them because they're much further along in their spice. Dana said something one time that I looked at her with like hard eyes. I'm like, how do you do that? This sounds worse than what it was, but I'll let her say if she even knows what I'm talking about. But anyways, how do you guys keep it spicy, especially after having kids and like all that stuff? Your body is changing. Give us some tips so I know what to do.
What did you say to her?
I think I know what she's talking about. I think it's that I've never denied you.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh.
When I heard that, I'm like,
God
oh
is
my
good.
gosh, I need to get better.
I'm like,
God is
not
good.
ever.
Ever? I'm like, dang, I'm Jesus,
hasn't
work
been a
on me.
time.
Oh my gosh. But it's different though, because I'm a little different. He's a little different. So like I have a pretty high sex drive and he has a low testosterone. So, well, he did. And so in the beginning, when we first got married, we actually had a lot of arguments in the, like, why we're not having a lot of sex. And
I know. I'm like, round 2, I just gave it all. I ain't got nothing left.
maybe because I wasn't that experienced, so it's just like more, you know. But so our balance was off in the beginning, and then I had kids, and we started to like level out.
Look at God again.
There you go. Perfect timing. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay.
But he actually went and like, I don't know if you want to talk about your testosterone, but
Oh no, I think every man should get their testosterone checked because
Yeah.
at some point in your life, you're just because of the foods that you're eating, it's like your testosterone level drops, and I think like men are scared to talk about that,
Yeah.
but I have no problem talking about it because I went and got tested and it was really low. And they were like, hey, like, we can give you something to help get your testosterone back up. And I was like, give me all of that. So now I'm always like, you know, ready.
to go.
I'm ready in the name of Jesus. You know, I'm
Hallelujah.
like,
Better go ahead and worship.
you know, there's no problem with that. And I think that, her not denying me has been great. And I think that, like, just kind of making it spicy. Like, no matter where you are, like, you know, show some love. You never know when it could go down. So it's like, you got to get creative sometimes. I think people are always just like, this is where we need to do it at this time. And for some people, if you have a structured situation, that's completely fine. Because I know life gets busy, and I know that, like, with kids and with work and just with life in general, like, sometimes you need to schedule it. And if that's what you need to do, if that's what works for you, great. But every now and then, just surprise them. Put it on their back and just let them know what's going
Not on
on.
their
You know what I'm saying?
back.
Poke him with the remote.
You know what I'm saying? Let them
He's
know.
my brother.
Let them know it's
Swear.
showtime.
I will say a little bit more PG-13 spice. It's
Okay,
like,
sorry.
My back. I don't know. I got feel something on my back.
That's
It's weird.
crazy.
I'm like, what is
it's
that?
like a remote.
You asked.
What did I do?
Well, like some of the things that I like really appreciate is like a little bit of flirting. Like even today, he like sent me a picture of himself just like with like a little heart saying like I love you. Just like little flirting, like how you used to do back in the day, you know, through a text or leaving a little note or something like that. That kind of gets your like your little butterflies going a little bit because going into like a routine and with kids and stuff, you kind of lose that a little bit because one, you just don't have time, and two, you're not thinking about them all the time like you used to. So you have to like take little moments. And like one of the things that I did this year was like, remember, I've been slacking a little bit this past few weeks, but I would write a note to him every day. And I think that got me in the mindset of just thinking about him intentionally and only him and what I love about him. So then I would like express that to him either with words or doing something special or doing something fun or flirting with him. Even just like a little slap on the butt can go a long way, I think. And so that I would suggest people to continue to do is to flirt with your spouse. And then the other thing is like, you gotta miss each other sometimes. So like we work together all day long and we have, you know, lots of time with our kids. But sometimes when he goes away and he to his men's groups at church and stuff, like he'll send me a cute little text like I miss you, or I'll go to dinner with one of my girlfriends and I'll come home and he's like, oh, I wanted to talk to you about this, I missed you or whatever. Just missing each other, I think that helps, and seeing each other in public, going out and seeing each other, like interacting with other people rather than just yourself. You see like, oh, I love that about him, or you know, things like that. So you're not just doing the same things over and over, where like date night at a restaurant or, you know, home out at home and Netflix and chill. You got to like switch it up a little. Like sometimes we'll go to a bar, not drink, but just like people watch and like dance and stuff like that. And we'll just do things like dance like we were in our 20s. And that's fun to me. Like that's fun, just like being young, but in a tasteful way.
Yeah, I mean, she doesn't drink when we go to the bar, but so
Transparency.
what I want people to know is like foreplay is not just something that happens in the bed. When people hear that, they just think like, oh, okay, like, you know, let me touch her here or touch her there and get her in the mood. But it's like foreplay is something that you need to do like first thing in the morning. And what I mean by that is filling that love tank essentially throughout the day. So sending those text messages, writing those letters, doing the dishes, making the dinner, taking care of the kids. Like there's a lot of things that you can do to prepare yourself for what may take place later that night. Because if there was no conversation and there was no like flirting or anything that took place throughout the entire day, and then you just like lay in bed and you're like, it's showtime. It's like,
Is it?
yeah, like she probably tired. She just had to cook dinner. She had to take care of the kids. She just worked all day. She had to clean out. Like she had to do all those things. What did you do to deserve what you think you about to get? Like, so they have to understand that like you got to put in that work well before it's time to put in that work. You know what I'm saying? So I think that goes a long way.
Yeah. And to build your spouse up too, because I think a lot of times we are our spouse's hardest critics, but I think we need to get to the place where we're our spouse's biggest cheerleaders.
Yeah.
So sometimes like we can be like, oh, why didn't you take out the trash, or why didn't you do this? I wish you would do that with the kids, or blah, blah, blah. And then you get in the bed and you're just like, all right, well, where's my love, you know? And they don't have that love for you because you just talk down on them like pretty much all day. So like just building your spouse up so that they feel that love. And I think that we can get carried away just with our daily routine, just being like, oh, why did you leave the refrigerator door open? Or I don't know, I'm just trying to think of something, because you really don't do very much. Like,
Listen, it took 9 years. It took 9 years for me to get
man.
here.
He's
It does
grown
not.
so much.
It
It's
does not
been
happen
beautiful.
overnight. Just looking at where I was and where I am now, I'm like, thank you, there is a God. There is a God. Yeah, because there a lot of the arguments that we used to have back in the day, it's like those are long and gone. And even if there is something that I slip up on, she has grace for me.
Yeah.
You know, she forgives very quickly. And like her line is like, marriage is endless forgiveness.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, they may mess up, but you have to know, like, okay, this is not the end of it all. And I think we live in such a microwave society where people are like, oh, they got to get it perfect right away. And that's why we see so many divorces now, is because people are like, you know, they weren't who I thought they were,
They don't
or
make me happy.
they changed. Like, I hope they changed. Like, y'all,
Right.
yeah, there better be some growth.
Yeah,
If there ain't no
yeah.
growth, then there's a problem. Like, there has to be. You guys have to change together. You have to continue
Adapt.
continue
That's
to,
real.
and that's why you have to continue to date your spouse, is because you still need to have those moments together where you're relearning who your spouse is or what they're going through. Like, the person that they are after they have kids is not going to be the same person they were before they had kids.
Yeah.
You know, they may not love their body the way that it is now. So you got to love on their body even more to make them feel comfortable. So there's a lot that goes into it that people just turn a blind eye to. But I think it's so important if you want to keep things fresh.
Yeah, I want to say one more thing, because I feel like I talk about this with the ladies in my marriage group all the time. It's one thing that I read a long time ago, probably being a Proverbs 31 woman book or something like that, long time ago, where you may not be in the mood for it, but it's your spouse's need. So you're there to fulfill their need.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't abuse that, but I would also not go the other direction where you withhold it like it's a weapon. So I think my mindset going into things, sometimes I'm like really tired, but like he needs it. So I'm going to fulfill that for him. And that's going to make me happy doing it. I'm not going to have a resentful heart. I'm not going to be bitter, because I know in my heart that I'm doing it for him and not for my own pleasure. And I think that's being a little bit more selfless in the bedroom, which I feel like people can be a little bit more selfish there. So just a reminder to most of the women, because I feel like that's like that's kind of the way that women think, is like, you know, I'm not in the mood, I'm too tired, or this or that. But like, I think we, in some instances, like, let's do it for them.
Yeah.
It's for them, and that's what God made
But
us
and at the
for.
same time, men, have some awareness.
Yeah, that part.
Like, have some awareness. Like, you got to understand, like, yeah, if they're not in the mood, like, and if you know it's been a rough
feel it.
day,
We're,
like, looking at each other like-
and if you just like know like something's off, like, and you probably going in there like, I know I'm about to get denied. Then don't go in there. Like, it might be.
I be going in knowing the block
like,
is coming.
No, you like
my
sometimes.
Sometimes you gotta test the waters a little bit. You
Oh
know?
my God, these
Okay,
waters
maybe
are cold.
test it a little bit. Like there's some times where I'll test it and I'm like, okay, tonight's not the night. But I have to have that awareness for her to be able to say she's never denied me. I had to have some awareness during that
That's
season
good.
too. You know what I'm saying?
I
So
never
it's
heard
like,
the second half. That's good. That's
it
good.
goes hand in hand. Like
Yeah.
so, I think men do better. Let me just say that.
Yeah.
It's not gonna happen every night. I'm just letting you know.
Get your
It's not gonna happen every night. Like
Yeah, I think
yeah.
managing expectations is a huge
huge.
thing. And when you set, I feel like setting your expectations in a place where things are manageable, that allows you to have. For me, I could talk. It allowed me to have more grace for Jess.
Yeah.
You know, especially like thinking about, look at all the stuff she had to do today. You know, like it's okay if nothing happens, and like I'll be all right. You know.
We gonna be all right.
Yeah. I do feel convicted by Dana though. I'm like, okay, whatever you want.
Hopefully, Jonathan feels convicted by me too.
I know. I'm like, can we have?
No,
can we
I feel like my
in the middle.
conviction
Puppy
really-
number.
You go in knowing you're gonna get the Dikembe Mutombo.
Sometimes.
And you still go in there.
that?
Yeah.
That's no.
Not today.
Not today.
Not today.
Sometimes I'd be like,
I don't know, but sometimes when I go in knowing I'm gonna get the denial, I'm not like going in for real. It's like
he don't. He's not serious. He's like,
kind of jokey.
I'm like, bruh, where was the?
But in the back of your mind, you're like, maybe there is a
But if you
chance.
say yes,
It's like unless you do
unless you
want
unless
to.
you bow.
I was joking.
Yeah.
Girl, you know I'm playing.
All right. Any final things you guys want to plug? You guys want to
Go ahead, plug, baby.
Plug. I'm not like a big plug. I don't even know how
Plug.
this thing works yet. You know, like, but I kind of already told
Yeah,
you.
let us know where we can find you.
Yeah, I
and all that
mean,
stuff.
so Instagram at home of the
No,
Harveys.
it's just at home of the Harveys, like the at.
The at sign. Yes, baby.
Home of the Harveys.
That's it's across all the platforms. It's the same tag name. And we are coming out with our podcast.
It should be out
the
when
end-
this goes live.
Yeah,
should
by the
be.
time this goes live, it should be out there. Y'all probably see some promos if you follow us. But it's gonna be our podcast is called At Home with the Harveys.
Yes.
Oh, I never heard. Did I know that?
they said that before.
Oh, I missed it. That's nice. I like it.
Yeah, so it's At Home with the Harveys, and we're excited. We're gonna come out with episodes on a weekly basis, and we put some a question sticker up, so we're answering a lot of questions that our followers are interested in, and we're just talking about our life story. A lot that you heard here, we'll get into in more detail. We really dive into it, and it's
we
just.
gave a lot of detail today.
Yeah,
but-
we did, man. We've been rolling. Like it's been a pleasure. We thank you guys so much for
Yeah,
having us on the
thanks so
pod.
much.
Of course.
And, I mean, y'all got some stuff out of us that we probably have never told anybody before. So
And we feel blessed to
y'all got
have
the
you on the
exclusive
Yeah.
content. Good for
I
y'all.
know.
Good for y'all.
Yeah, well, we thank you guys so much for coming along on our podcast. Thank you for your transparency and your obedience. You guys dropped a lot of gems, and I'm sure that you guys have learned so much and appreciated so much. Don't forget to follow them at sign Home of the Harveys on Instagram and all of their platforms, and go ahead and check out their podcast as well. At Home with the Harveys
Let's go.
on
There you go. Let's go.
YouTube.
There you go.
Are you guys going to be on Spotify and like all that stuff as well?
We're doing it all, man.
All
We're
the
doing it all.
podcast
We're doing it all.
platforms. They have so much to give, so much to pour into you guys. So make sure you check them out. And then with that, we will see you guys next season, actually.
Yeah, this is the
This is
last.
it.
Yo,
The
congratulate.
finale.
Let's
Wow.
go.
Baby.
One season. Got it.
All right.
Let's go.
This is the end of the first season of Between the Walls. It's been so much fun.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that you guys were our season finale. Like
Yeah.
Yeah,
nothing
this is
better
good.
than what is it? Between the Harveys.
We tied it together.
Yeah, between the
It's the merge.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Anyways.
yeah, like, and hopefully you guys will have us back next season. Hopefully I didn't scare anybody
Hey,
away.
I'm
You know what
down.
saying?
Well, I
Like-
definitely want to have you guys back when we become parents, so we can have a parenting
Oh
conversation.
yeah, let's
Yeah.
go. That'll
We
be
didn't
fun.
talk about that much
And
now.
I like
but
how you spoke it into existence. She
Oh,
said when.
absolutely.
Oh,
When?
When,
Okay.
baby.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, we love you guys. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys real soon. Bye.